Hey everybody. Okay, let me make sure this is working. I'm trying StreamYard for the first time and I don't know if I did it properly. Because why would I test any tech before I do? Okay, cool. Looks like it's working. Hi everybody. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the Google algorithm leak. So if you don't know, yesterday Google's algorithm leaked yesterday. Basically, there was a guy named Rand Fishkin who was the founder of Moz, and then Michael King, who also runs iPullRank. They together released the Google algorithm, which was leaked to them by somebody else. This is like really big news because the Google algorithm is not something we typically have access to. So essentially, we got a ton of information that we otherwise wouldn't have had. And I spent all day yesterday going through and trying to understand this as best I can. Now, I will say I am not a tech SEO. So for me, a lot of this stuff was kind of over my head. And so I was also relying on a lot of information that the two of them were sharing because they know more than I do, straight up. They know better than I do about this. And just a quick aside, I am also live streaming on Instagram right now. I'm over on YouTube if you want to see the slides on the screen. And if you want to get the article that I'm referring to with the Google algorithm information, if you type algo, ALGO, into the comments, I'll send you a link in your DMs with the article that I'm referring to. But essentially, I spent all day yesterday writing this article, reading through the 2,500 pages of information that was leaked from the Google algorithm. Now, some caveats before we dive into like what this means and what this is going to do for bloggers and how this is changing my strategies going forward. And if I think blogging is dead, because everyone inevitably asks that. I do want to caveat this and say that Google has not verified that this is legitimate. Like, we do not know. So we have our best guess, and that basically comes from Rand Fishkin, who it was the founder of Moz. He no longer works with Moz, but he did found them. He has another company that I've already forgotten the name of, but I link it in the article on my website, so you can find it there. But essentially, he went through and he spoke to so many different people to verify this to be as factual as he could. And for our best guess, this seems legitimate. Now, the next caveat is we don't have any weight to these factors. So a lot of us SEOs are calling them ranking factors. They're actually attributes. So they're not actually a ranking factor for sure. These are attributes. And if you think of it like CSS code, there's always attributes that we aren't using or that aren't really doing anything. We often have some like extraneous ones left over from before. And the problem with that is that we don't know if all of these things, there's over 14,000, there's 14,014 of these attributes in this document. And some of those might be defunct. Some of them are actively defunct because it says it in the document. It says like no longer using this sort of a thing. So we do know that some of these are not helpful anymore, essentially. So from that, we can kind of assume that the other stuff is still being tracked. We don't really know whether or not the tracking means that it is a heavily weighted thing in the algorithm. We don't know for sure that that means that it's even in the algorithm, really. Like, it could just be tracking these things for no reason. So those are my caveats. I just want to like make those clear to begin with. Essentially, we're operating with what we have. And I think the important thing is to look at this information and be curious about what Google is sharing and what Google is telling us is something to consider. So I'm going to go through some of like the kind of touch points that I go into way more depth in my article. I have the link in this YouTube video, and for y'all on Instagram, if you comment algo, ALGO, it'll automatically DM you the link to it. But essentially, this article, which I'm really proud of. And I have to also caveat and say, like, it is ranking #1. If you search like Google algorithm leak, it comes up #1. It shouldn't. And that's me like not being humble, not being anything. I think it's a great article. I think I did an amazing job with it, but I did not source this leak. And this is news, and news should always come from the source. And the source is Rand Fishkin and Michael King. So my article is a very, like, I don't want to say dumbed down, but like layman's term summary of what they went into way more technical detail on. And if someone's looking for the Google algorithm leak, me personally as well, I would want the original source. So I think that's already showing us some flaws with this Google system. There's some people who said like maybe it was suppressed, maybe not. We don't really know. It could have been suppressed from them, but it's come back into the search results. It's just like in the top 20, not the top 10. So something to consider as well. So, okay, what actually was in this document? Like, what was this? It's a GitHub repository at this point. Someone like turned it into a GitHub repository that looks like this. It's crazy. For those of you on Instagram, I am live on YouTube with the images of these things as well. But essentially, it is this like massive GitHub document. And I haven't been in GitHub since I did my digital publishing masters, where we had to like code a website in here. And like, oh, it is, I was rusty on this. But interestingly, we're seeing a lot of different algorithm attributes, as you can see here. Some of them do have explanations, some of them don't. So people have tried to like do their best to understand things. There are so many amazing SEOs on Twitter who are cross-referencing things with more in-depth, like first of all, files that were leaked from like the DOJ trial. There's so many like things that were kind of said or leaked before. There was a Yandex leak last year. Like there's so many things that now they're cross-referencing all of this, which is really, really interesting and cool. I am not that technical, so I'm doing my best to understand it, but they know way more than I do on it. And then others, like they flat out say, like, this is for this thing. A really interesting one, probably the one that for us small publishers is so important to know, is that there is actually a small publisher classifier. We don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I think we can assume based on like how things have gone recently with Google for most small publishers that it's probably not a great thing. And I can't verify that. We don't know. But the fact that it even exists and that for some reason they feel the need to block out small and it says like personal blogs, we don't really know what they deem that. Like, is that a lifestyle blog? Is that something else? We don't know. But going through these, so this is like the giant file. There's also, do I have it open? Yes, there's also Dixon Jones did a really great like kind of summary, what would I call it? Table, I guess, of all the information that makes it a lot easier to go through. But in both cases, you can search up at the top to find things. But it takes a lot to go through. So as I was going through, I was pulling out what I could. I will admit, like the couple in, my eyes started to go cross-eyed and I got very tired of reading it. So I did my best. I kept going, but like a lot of what I also know from this came from the original articles, which I do want to shout out because they are so, so good. So the first one is from iPullRank. This is by Mike King. Mike King is the technical SEO who reviewed all of this for Rand Fishkin. Rand Fishkin, who has SparkToro, that's his site. He also did an analysis of this, though the leaked documents were given to him. And then he actually sent them to Mike. And because he's been out of the SEO game for like 6 years. And he said, hey, Mike, you're a tech SEO. Could you please check this over for me? Could you please go through this and see what the heck all of this means? So the two of them did an amazing, amazing deep dive. I highly recommend reading it. I did find Mike's a bit advanced, so I do think some people might struggle with it, but do your best, go through it. It's really, really interesting. So now that I've kind of gone through our sources, let's talk about what all of this means because there is a lot here. And I think a lot of people, when they hear like the Google algorithm leaked, first of all, they think that we have all the answers now. Second of all, they think that this is some huge smoking gun. And third of all, they think maybe we can game the system better now. And I think none of those three things are true. So first off, this is just the attributes. We don't know the weighting. We don't know like the exact like organization of it in the algorithm, how it's actually running, which classifiers are still running. There are things in there, like there's like a COVID, like if it's a COVID thing kind of tag. There's interestingly a travel one in there as well that I don't see anyone talking about really, other than Rand initially mentions it in his article. But there is a travel classifier that is in there. And we don't know if that means that like, okay, maybe during the pandemic, they were tracking travel because the other one is COVID. Maybe it's for their like travel kind of widget at the top. We don't know. But it's interesting that it's in there and that it doesn't clearly say that it's defunct. So that does say that like, this might be something to consider and could be a reason that travel has been hit so hard in all of the recent updates. We don't know for sure, but it's interesting that it's in there. Now, it's also not a smoking gun because honestly, a lot of what's in there is what we expected. I don't think that there was anything that was like so crazy. And that's because SEOs, like, we have worked to understand this algorithm. That's our job. That's the point of what we're doing. And so we are trying to understand how these things work. And while we've had Google spokespeople come out here for a long time and tell us things like there isn't a DA, it doesn't actually exist, there isn't like links don't matter, blah, 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 we're seeing that they definitely do. And we already knew that. Like, let's be realistic. I mean, I think if anyone fully believed it when people said links don't matter, none of us would build links. None of us would do any kind of press really beyond like physical newspapers. And that's not the case. Like, we're all smart people. At a certain point, you're going to go off of what the algorithm is actually telling you, not what spokespeople are telling you. And that's okay. Like, that is, I think, an important thing that's going to happen. So with this, just remember that like the algorithm is not this amazing smoking gun. It's not like there were little surprises, but there was not like, oh my God, it works completely differently than we thought. And like there are lizard people under the ground running it or something. Like, a lot of what we know and what we've been seeing with what we work on is coming to light and is a real thing. So that's kind of something I want to press to you guys as well. Now, as to like, what does this mean for blogging? Is it dead? I think traditional blogging, kind of yes. And I'm going to say that for kind of the first time, but I want to caveat that because traditional blogging to me is not like going back to the personal blog kind of style, which I think has been dead for a while. Like, I think running a journal style blog that is all about like your personal experiences, no one cares. Like, it's just not a thing. I think that really moved over to vlogging and to like Instagram a while ago. But I think that with blogs, we are seeing a shift. And the biggest shift that I'm seeing is I don't think SEO is dead. I'm not saying that, but I think the passive income blog is dead. And that's something that's kind of been dying since the product review update, even back in April of 2023. I think it was April, might have been March. And the big shift there was that Google was saying, you can't just like get easy money anymore. You do need to treat your business like an active business. And passive income still exists to some extent. So like ads still exist for sure. Affiliates still exist, but I think they're existing in a different way. And something that I've been already focusing on with my own businesses is moving towards a digital product model, having services, having things where like I am the source of my own income. Yes, it does mean that to some extent you have to do more active work. It also often means more of a cash investment in your business to get that set up and started. But I do think that that's where we're moving towards. I think that we are really moving away from the idea of, okay, you can set up a blog for $100 and then it'll start printing millions of dollars for you. Because people kind of got tired of that, to be honest. And I think Google started to notice they got tired of it and Google was getting tired of it. Now, I also think Google is trying to come for that and like get that passive income themselves to some extent. But I do think that we are going to see a boom of people really focusing on their blog as a business. And I think that's what people have been talking about since the HCU in September is that, okay, we are moving away from this model of a blog as just kind of like something thrown together that you don't need to pay for anything. There's like, again, you kind of buy the domain and the hosting, you spend $100 and then it's just printing money. I think we're moving towards a blog as a business, and the brand thing kind of got tied into people thinking you need to have a TikTok and Instagram and Twitter. You need to have like 20,000 followers. That's not what a brand is. Like, my sister and my dad both run successful businesses that are a brand. Neither of them has a significant social following because it's not about that. Really, what it's about is treating your blog as a business. So this should be a recognizable name. This should be something that people like trust and come back to. And yeah, having multiple touch points where they can find you in different places, that is going to help that for sure. And especially where like we don't have a physical presence anywhere, we have to have web presences and we have to have ways of attracting people to us. But I'd also like kind of press home to you guys, like, you can make a lot of money with digital products. Like, a lot of people think, oh, it's so hard and it's never going to be for me and I'm never going to have success at it, or I need to teach like how to blog. No, you don't. Like, honestly, you don't. There's so many cool things you can do and so many cool products you can create and services you can offer. Like, I had 2 people reach out to me yesterday. For some reason, I don't know what happened yesterday, but everyone was like, "Hey, can we hire you to, like, consult with us on starting a Facebook group?" And I'm like, "That's so cool." Like, that's not something I saw in my 2024 business goal plan, and this is why I always, like, kind of I plan for the year a bit, but then I, like, chunk it down. But that's a service that I can offer. That is something that like I am very good at doing and people want help with for their business. Now, even outside of the business sphere, like they're like my dog, I mean, can't cut his nails to save my life. I would pay for an online course to cut his nails. There are online service dog courses that are not like an accredited thing because that doesn't exist online, but it's like here's how to train your dog to do deep pressure therapy. Like people pay for this stuff. And I'm not saying to do this in like a scammy way or anything, like create a great product. You are very capable of it. I've been coaching my SEO roadmap students on how to do that for the last 2 months. And like we have some amazing things in there that I never would have considered as a product myself either. So this is the amazing thing that like, especially with having services or a digital product offer or something like, yeah, offering tours or doing itinerary planning services, whether custom or pre-made, you can do a lot with that. And I was posting in my free Facebook group recently, and I noted as well for if like with ads, if you want to make $1,000 a month, you probably need about 50,000 page views a month with RPMs of about 20 bucks. That's a lot for you to get there. Or you can sell a $50 product to 20 people. And like that's a lot easier, to be honest. Getting 20 people to trust you to spend $50 is a lot easier than like getting 50,000 people to your site and having that keep going. So that's something that I would definitely encourage people to consider. And I think that's where blogging is really moving towards. And I'm not saying like that we're moving to just like a digital product empire thing, but I think we're moving towards an active income model where essentially your content is going to be there for sure. And I think that affiliate and ad income is going to keep being a thing on the side, but I don't think it's going to be necessarily the focus the same way anymore. And that's something that kept coming up at affiliate gathering as well. I went to affiliate gathering in York. It was amazing. I'm going back next year. As like just like a normal person, not as a speaker this time, attendee, I guess that's the word. And it was so great. But one of the things that people kept talking about there as well is having a business with multiple touch points and multiple ways of entry for your audience to find you. YouTube was a big focus for that, which like I've been loving YouTube since like late last year. So I'm really happy to hear that. And I plan to keep doing more of it. But also having those products, having things that you are selling. A lot of people were talking about memberships. Now I have a YouTube video where I go into why my membership didn't work. And I do talk about like how I would do it if I was doing it again. So feel free to watch that and get like kind of a masterclass in memberships. And it wasn't that my membership like failed. It was just that it wasn't my favorite business model. So it's not what I wanted to do. But with that, for me, like one-off digital products really are the way to go, or like a timed coaching period almost, where it's like, okay, here's a 6-month membership or something where it's like all in one go. That way you also have people who are like moving through it at the same point. So that's really the big shift that I see in the industry is I don't think that like pure blogging is dead, but I think blogging just for passive income is dead. And also like for people who do want to scale their income a lot, I think that those passive income things always had a limit. There was always going to be a ceiling on them that to some extent, like you are doing work for someone else. It's very unstable because you could get kicked out of an ad network at any time. You could, with affiliates, like Airbnb just shut down. You could lose all of that money. So already there was like a diversification factor that a lot of people kind of realized they needed to start adding into their business. And all of the like big blogs I know who are doing millions of dollars a year, like, and I'm not kidding, millions of dollars a year. They all moved from like, they did like ads and they did a bit of affiliates as well, but they all moved into having products, services, and even like physical products that they were selling. And that is how they made millions. And whether or not you want to make millions, like set your own goals. Whatever your income goals are, I don't care. I think it is important to recognize that there are different ways that this works. There are different ways that you can monetize, but the most successful you're going to be is where you own the full income stream yourself. So all that is to say is like, am I done with SEO? No, I'm not, because I think SEO still does work to some extent. It's very different now. I mean, this article that I have on the screen right now, this is the biggest Google search algorithm leak in history. Here's what it means for bloggers. It is ranking number one, which it shouldn't. Again, I mentioned that earlier, for so many queries related to the Google algorithm leak. And the important thing to note with that is, like, this was published yesterday. I have not posted internal links to it. I have built no backlinks to it. I did share it to my email list. This morning, I posted it to 3 of my social channels, and 2 other people posted it to 2 other Facebook groups. That's it. Like, it has not been syndicated by news or something. It's gotten thousands and thousands and thousands of page views, and that's really flattering for sure. It's gained a whole bunch of people to my Facebook group. It's brought a bunch of new Instagram followers. Like, it's brought a bunch of stuff to my sphere, and that was from SEO. Like, that was purely it. I also, to be honest, didn't write it with SEO in mind, which is something that I bring up in the article itself, is that Google's kind of telling us, stop writing for us. And I think that that formulaic Google approach has shifted a lot, where it's now more about just like a user-centric approach and something that's easy for the user to follow and understand. And so that's been something that I've been having more fun with anyway, is with this site, especially with She Knows SEO, which has not been hit by any of the algorithm updates. It is doing better than ever. And then especially today, doing very, very well with this article kicking off. The big thing with it is, I have been so focused on exactly what my audience are asking of me. And I have not been writing for easy win keywords. I've often been writing for very, very challenging keywords that I keep winning for regardless. Like this one, I should not be outranking search engine land based on DA and based on links and based on like even click data and things like that. So a lot of it, I think, comes down to satisfying the user, and also that user experience metric, which there are a bunch of those in the Google algorithm. Google cares about how long people spend on the page, how deep they go into the page, which result they click to from Google and then spend the most time on. And I've done a lot of work to create a site where people want to stick around, and where my language is so easy to read that people get to have fun with it too. Like in this post, go look for it. I mentioned my trip to Italy and how Tim Hortons is ruined for me now. And I think that that's like a fun thing to add in, partially because I was delirious and I was writing this, like I was trying to finish this before dinner. And my sister had made like homemade guac and chips, and I could smell it. And I was like, please just be done. But with that, like, I was putting my user really, really first. And that is why I think this site does succeed. And I'm not saying that, like, if your site was hit that you didn't do that, but I think there were other things that were getting in the way of it that could be causing the problems that were preventing that from becoming like as successful as it should have been. So that's something to keep in mind with all of this. SEO is still 100% going to be a traffic source for me. It's something that I really want to keep working on. I really love SEO, and I do think that of all the traffic sources, it asks the most of us as writers to do the best for our user. And I think it's leveled up. I think it's leveled up and then gotten broken a little bit for sure with all of the AI overviews. And even with this, like for many of the things where I am ranking number one for this article, there are then like a couple news snippets above. There's a bunch, for some reason, YouTube is above it. There's like sometimes the forum shows up, sometimes not, like the little like forum discussion area. So they are pushing content down 100%. And I think that's a problem. And it's going to drastically reduce click-through rates for us. So SEO has gotten much, much harder in that sense. But we're also seeing that like it can still get you a lot of traffic. And if you can combine it with something like a newsletter, like a Facebook group, those are the two main things I did with this, that's going to have more success for you. So basically, my strategy focuses right now, I'm still going to do SEO. To me, that's like, it's going to sound conceited, but like it's kind of easy now because I get it. Like, and I'm still going to keep focusing on changes and stuff, but writing for SEO is not a challenge to me anymore. So to me, it's like that's a lesser part of my strategy already because it's not something new I need to work on. The new things that I really want to work on are that I already have a Facebook group. I have about 9 that I run, and I don't really talk about them because they're my babies and I like working on them myself. But I have a bunch of Facebook groups, and that's something that I think is doing really, really well for most of my sites, especially for this site, for She Knows SEO. That Facebook group does amazingly well for it and drives about the same traffic that Google drives, which is pretty cool. So that's going to be a focus for me, and then YouTube for sure. And then again, my newsletter is a big thing, but kind of like SEO, I figured that out. Like that to me is not a new challenge, and I love new challenges with the ADHD. Like I need new stuff all the time. So I know that sounds like a lot. Like 4 things sounds like a lot. And it is. But you have to remember that like this is my 6th or 7th year as a blogger. So I am at a very different point with this. It's also my full-time job. I'm very blessed to have that. And that means that I have a lot more time that I can invest in this. So for someone who is new, having 4 kind of traffic focuses, not the best idea. What I would recommend going forward to anybody that's like still working on their blog, still wants to do this as a career, still wants to like, whether this is going to be a full-time career or a part-time thing, I would recommend picking 2 traffic sources. And a newsletter, everyone's like, have your newsletter, have your newsletter. Newsletters are not a traffic source like at the start. Like they're not like a traffic, like an audience gaining source. You need a way to get people to the newsletter. So I would hold off on newsletters to begin with. I would start with SEO, in my opinion, and then some sort of community building area. And for me, that is very, very much Facebook. Facebook groups do really well for me there. Now, if you're more interested in Facebook pages and driving traffic there via ads, Niche Site Lady has been sharing so much amazing stuff about that on Twitter. She also shares some people that like taught her, whose names escape me now, but there are many people on Twitter talking about it. Then if Pinterest is more your bag, it depends on like the way that you want to do Pinterest. But Natalie Bardo is my definite Pinterest recommendation. She's on YouTube as well. And she has so much great information around like growing a Pinterest that will keep generating traffic and leads. Or if you're more of like a quick win Pinterest person, but your account, there's some maybe questionable legalities around some of the stuff he does. Pardon me. Got too excited, inhaled saliva there. But like Tony Hill is also crushing it with Pinterest, but he uses like more AI images and things like that. And his is more of like an aggressive approach. So whichever works for you. Both of them are doing very well on Pinterest. Then what are some other sources? YouTube is really good. I've been following LaShonda Brown for learning more about YouTube. And then I know it used to be Niche Site Chris. I don't remember what, I think Chris Miles is what his new handle is on Twitter. He's talking a lot about YouTube as well. So basically you want to have like 2 places where you're acquiring new traffic. And once you get to the point where you have that new traffic, convert them to your email list 100%. Like that is great. But once they're on your email list, then you can shift later on to the email being more of a primary focus. But at the beginning, when you don't have that many people on your list, just sending great emails isn't going to get you more people on the list necessarily. So we need a way to do that. Now, other things that I've been doing that grow my email list, bundles and summits have been huge for me. I'm writing a bunch of posts right now about like my strategies for that and how I've gotten into them. And like, I have basically a summit a month booked for the rest of the year, both in person and not, which is crazy to me. Like that's so cool. I get so many bundle requests. I have to turn some down because there's just too many. So those are really great ways to grow that list as well. And there's tons of opportunity for that, even if you're not in the travel space. So keep that in mind. And I'm actually launching a bundle next month. So I guess like in 2 days, essentially it's next month, but mid-June, I'll be launching my Now Boarding bundle, which is for travel bloggers to grow their email list. So travel bloggers, you have to have a digital product to participate. So go make your digital product now if you want to participate. And yeah, there's so many different things that you can do. So I don't think blogging is dead. I think pure SEO passive income site blogging, it's just gone. And you could still make some money from it, but the way that it worked before, and I believe it was Rand that said something like this as well, which I quoted in my article, where he basically said like, things have shifted. It is not like the money printing machine it used to be. It is harder now. And especially like with AI and things like that, where they can post 1,000 articles in a day, you need to have a way where you stand out. And that's going to come down to your voice and building that community with your audience where they really, really trust you. Yeah, so does anyone have any questions? I should actually open up the chat for, oh my God, there's so many things posted in the chat. Sorry, I'm using StreamYard for the first time, and so this is a lot. And for, I think we still have some people on Instagram. Hi, Instagram. We're doing this more so on YouTube. If you comment ALGO, A-L-G-O, it'll send you the article that I'm referring to with all of this. Okay, so question. Do you think the Google update for formatting answer questions was to feed their AI and cut off visits to our website? I've heard a lot of conspiracies related to that, and I don't know. I'm not sure. I think that the AI overviews rollout has been incredible incredibly poor. Like it is not a great rollout. There are so many issues with how they decided to do that. And there are so many issues with the results. So actually somebody posted, I wish I remembered who, but there's a tweet that I reshared it about the like algorithm for it. And essentially what it's doing is where it's supposed to like go in and look at the it's supposed, sorry, I just got distracted by Instagram. It's supposed to go into the sites, research it, summarize, and then make an AI overview. What it's doing instead is it's manually generating the answer, and then it's trying to find sites to back it up and link to. And a lot of those links are to dead URLs. So like literally like park domains that have never had content on them, to irrelevant sites. For all of their examples in their keynote, if you watch my like live keynote review of it, they basically always cite Quora, but then I've never been able to replicate Quora coming up in an AI overview, which is really weird. And then even like Lily Ray said, like all of her AI overviews just stopped working for some reason. So they're kind of also like making it hard to track and to test them. So I don't know. I would love to agree with Sundar that like, sorry, that's like the head of Google search, that oh, this is going to like improve clicks to websites and things like that. It's definitely not, unfortunately. And as to whether or not that was an active choice or not, I don't know. But there are a lot of theories that sites were suppressed, especially with the HCU. And a lot of those sites, a lot of the sites that are showing up for the AI overviews answers are not sites that appear in the top 100 of the search results, which is interesting. Okay, I fear that we will have to cut off Google bots and AI to crawl our website so we get visits of AI using our content for free. I'm not worried about that yet, to be honest. I would also argue that like even if you try to do that, there's so many syndication things that like track your stuff. It's hard to fully block them. And when I was doing the Google I/O keynote review, something that I also noted was like, even if you block them crawling your site, at this point with Chrome, with Google Pixel, like the phone and everything, they're installing Gemini on all of it so that it's tracking everything people do and it's following them. So it can still get to your site even if you block it. And it seems like so that was one of the comments I made about it kind of coming for newsletters and becoming a problem, is that they're building it inside of Gmail and inside of the Google Pixel phone that can access the emails, read all of the emails. And we don't know, like I could not find any privacy policies or other like documentation on it talking about privacy for that. So I don't know if it gets stored. And the problem is that you're not consenting to having it stored regardless, but it never gives you the option to decide whether or not you're okay with that. So at this point, because it can access it so easily anywhere, I don't know that like that would actually do enough to matter anyway. And again, because I'm still getting traffic from it, I'm kind of in a point where I'm like, I'm just going to leave it. But the concern has always been there for sure. What systems or tools do you use for selling products on your website? So I use Thrivecart. That is like my favorite. I have a full like in-depth review on my channel going through like how Thrivecart works and why I like Thrivecart and how to set everything up. It is a one-time fee, which I really appreciate. Now, if you're starting and like that, because it's a one-time fee that is a big fee for your very first product. Gumroad, PayHip, SendOwl, even just like the new ConvertKit plan. If you missed it, ConvertKit has a 10,000 subscriber plan that gives you like one product you can sell. Those are all great options. So pick something basically that can deliver your product. But it also kind of depends on the product. So like physical products, I would go with Shopify. If it's more of like a service, TidyCal is my favorite for like when I do coaching and things like that. I will use that for people to be able to book a time slot and purchase at the same time. It's also how I sell my newsletter sponsorship slots. What are some other ones? Memberships, Thrivecart's what I've used for my membership. I would advise anyone selling anything with a membership or a payment plan, do not use PayPal. PayPal is the fucking worst for anything related to subscription payments. And it treats any sort of like payment plan as a subscription. So like just avoid it, just run from PayPal for that. For anything else, it's fine for a one-off payment, but for that, it is a massive problem. And also consider when you're planning a digital product, like, do you plan to have affiliates? If so, having something like Gumroad that like has an affiliate platform built in is a really good idea. With the ConvertKit one, what I had some people do, like my editor, for example, back on Black Friday, they had, I don't remember what their offer was. They had, we did, sorry, it wasn't Black Friday. My editor, she created some new cadence themes that are beautiful. I love them. And so I was an affiliate for them. And because she was selling them via a ConvertKit checkout page, we had to create like a dummy page. So it was almost like name of product hyphen Nina. And then they manually tracked that and then sent me my commission just for the sales from that individual page. And that's because we have a lot of trust and there was a contract in place. But I wouldn't rely on that. And like for them, that would be a lot if they were doing that for like 100 different affiliates. So keep that in mind as well. Then for product delivery, if it's going to be a course or something, I know a lot of people like Payhip. I have not used it recently, so I don't remember its system. I know Gumroad can host a course pretty similarly to Thrivecart. I like Thrivecart. I like it much better than Teachable. I have not used other ones like Podia and Kajabi and things, but even as a user, I'm very familiar with Thrivecart and I find it very easy to go through. So that would be another tip. Then to host videos, I use Loom. There's also Vimeo. There's Descript or Descript. I don't know how to call it. I think they call it Descript. I've always called it Descript, so I don't know what the name of it is. But yeah, and then for any like physical or pardon me, ebook products, I would do those in Canva. So I hope that answered. That was probably too much of an answer. But if you'd like to know more about that, let me know and I can do some more YouTube videos around that for sure. Do you think Google and AI will be giving websites a revenue share for our content? I would love to say yes, but I do not think that that's ever going to happen. We're seeing like The Atlantic just got licensed with ChatGPT. They just announced a partnership today, which is a licensing essentially for ChatGPT to pull their content. We don't have numbers on what that is, but we're also only seeing it happen to very big platforms at this point. On Twitter, there has been some stuff around like Meta's getting sued right now for something similar where like publishers want a revenue share. So I don't know I just don't know how they would even manage it, to be honest. I do know with Canada, like in Canada on Facebook especially, I can't share any news articles, Canadian or otherwise. I cannot share news. And that's because basically Canadian News Network said, hey, Facebook, like you guys are profiting off of us. And like people, when they read it on your site, because Facebook would just like show their full article, you're getting the ad revenue, not us. And it's like kind of killing journalism. And Facebook was like, we don't care. So then basically Canada was like, well, then legally you can't have our content. So now because of that, that's a whole kerfuffle. And so I hope that doesn't happen because I wouldn't want to have like blogger views like fully suppressed that way. But equally, I don't know how they would rev share it. Apple News does a better job. So maybe there's like a model there that could happen. But I'm not sure how it would work. Yeah. Okay. Oops, I scrolled all the way down to the bottom. Focusing on SaaS products. That's a fair point. Tools and products are doing really well, especially like websites that are built around or like for a tool are doing very well. So that's something for sure. Relying on Facebook too much is risky if you ask me. Yes, for sure. And this is something with Facebook is that like, that's why I like groups, not pages, is because you have the community. And with a group, you can require them to like submit their email to join the group. So that's something I do. I personally use them as like, and this is something that I know Niche Site Lady as well is doing with Facebook pages is like getting people. So she pays for ads to go to a Facebook or to go to the newsletter. And then from the newsletter, sends them to the Facebook page to like it and then like kind of creates a closed loop that way. I definitely think like having all your eggs in one basket is a problem, but I think it is important to, if you're not willing to pay for paid ads to get in front of people, you need to do something to get in front of them. And Facebook is a place, depending on your audience, you also have to consider like age and stage of your audience, where your audience are for SEO and things like that. Like kind of Facebook probably isn't the place to some extent. Most SEOs aren't on Facebook, but it's my favorite. So I've kind of forced people in there. But for a lot of other things, especially if anything you do targets more like middle-aged or older-aged people, Facebook is a really good option because they understand it. So keep that in mind. But yeah, I would definitely say like, ultimately the goal is to capture leads long-term somehow so that you can kind of close that circuit and own it to some extent. A lot of people say that you own your email list. You do not. And I'm seeing that a lot recently as well, with people are having a lot of issues with like, oh, I sent my email and it only had like 20% open rates. And it's because maybe you had a spam marking, maybe you didn't do your DMARC settings properly. So like there's still algorithms to be dealt with in that newsletter sense as well. Um, so like nothing is fully safe is my point. And so do your best to like have, again, diversify. Don't just have one thing. And even with your yeah, even with your newsletter, like you own those emails to some extent, but you want it to get to the point where someone's so excited they open your email every time. Like there's only like 3 people, I would say, that when their email hits my inbox, I open it the second I see it. And as somebody who like basically avoids my inbox because my VA handles it for me, that's saying something. But so because of that, I'm giving really good signals there that this is something that I really care about. Please keep sending it to me. And hey, it's so valuable, send it to others. So like keep that in mind as well, that there is an algorithm component to emails, just like anything else. So I don't know. A lot of people are like, oh, well, like magically you own it and it's perfect. Nothing's perfect. And like a lot of this, like there's still a lot of hard work no matter where you're going with it. So just keep that in mind as well. But I think that is a very good point, Marcus, that like Facebook isn't, it's still a platform you don't own. So like that's just, we're kind of stealing traffic from it almost to bring them to us. And then you want to capture them with an email and then keep them that way. Can a bot read content behind a login? We don't know. So with the like that Google Pixel stuff, I think that's what you're referring to. We don't know. Now, technically, if it's behind a paywall, it shouldn't be able to see it, but we know it's very easy to get behind paywall sneakily. Like so many people have hacks for getting behind the New York Times paywall. I'm not one of them because I just play connections. But it like there are a ton of those out there, so I'm not sure. And I've seen like paid newsletters and stuff like that as well. But like I said, with that, with Gemini being able to be in like in a phone and read it regardless, it could still potentially see it. So we don't know for sure. Okay, then they said, from what I read, the leak is from 2019 and only API related, not Google search. So it's the API algorithm that is running Google search essentially, but without the weighting that is like kind of making, so it's essentially like almost like we have the CSS, but we don't have the HTML to go with it to know how it's running, or like the JavaScript or anything. So we have part of the code, we don't have the whole code. Also, there are things in it from August of 2023 is the last date inside of it. So to our knowledge, if this is legitimate, August 2023 would be our last verifiable date for it. Never references like AI overviews or anything, so we can't tell if that's like a separate algorithm or if this is the most up-to-date algorithm, but it just, they don't mention it in this. Maybe it has its own section somewhere, I'm not sure. So yeah, it wouldn't be a 2019 algorithm, but it looks like it's related to the whole thing. And this document was leaked March 7th, I believe. It's going to be in my article somewhere. I definitely put these dates somewhere. Cliff's Notes, that's where I put it. Or no, I didn't. I put it somewhere else. Somewhere in here. Maybe somewhere in there. It's a long article. Somewhere in there, I talk about when it was leaked, but it was early March that it was sent to Rand, and then he went through it and everything. And essentially, it was found that it was accidentally posted in a GitHub repository, and then someone was able to capture it. Or no, maybe it was posted somewhere. I think it was in GitHub. And then it was captured and kind of stored for a bit. So essentially, like, this is the thing I said at the beginning as well. It's like, we don't 100% know. Like, Google has not confirmed this is their algorithm. Google has not confirmed anything. I don't know that they will confirm it, to be honest, either. So we can't be sure. But they have, like, Rand put it through its paces with, like, talking to ex-Google employees and things like that to try and get their perspective on it. And the resounding answer was, we're pretty sure. Like, this looks legitimate. And even if it's not super legitimate, like, I don't know, it could not be. We don't know. This could be a very elaborate May Fool's joke, I guess. I'd be very surprised by it. I would still say it's informative to some extent. And like a lot of it had things that are being tracked that we never considered them tracking. And that's just interesting to consider. But it does show a lot of click data and things, which like SEOs, we've already assumed that they were tracking and they just said that they weren't. So to me, even if this was fake, nothing in it is making any of us pivot so hard that we would accidentally break anything, I guess. And unfortunately, its main purpose so far has just been to get people very, very mad at Google spokespeople who, like, I said this in the article as well, but like, don't like be actively hateful to them. You can be critical for sure. Like, I think critiques are totally fine, but like, don't attack them as people because like they are just people. And I'm sure this is a very frustrating time for them. We also don't know like what they knew of this. And I just don't think online bullying and hate is ever okay, regardless of like unless like, I don't know. No, you know what? I don't think it's ever okay. I just don't think it's nice. So just like don't be critical, but don't be like hateful to them, I guess. And they have not made any statements. They've been like pretty radio silent since this whole thing started. So keep that in mind as well. But there's also some theories that this was done to like take eyes off the AI overview debacle because I have more that I want to talk about that. I hope to do a video on that. That was like my plan for the live I wanted to do today before Zoom broke, StreamYard broke, and everything broke. And then before the algorithm leaked. So it was like a whole thing. But I had wanted to go over like AI overviews and all of like the user hate that's coming for them. And the New York Times did a big one about it. The Verge did a big one about it, like big articles. And so people are saying that maybe this is to like stop people from looking at that, or maybe even stop people from looking at the antitrust lawsuit. I don't know. I think it's Google's had a lot of bad press lately, so I don't know that negative PR at this point is a good idea, no matter what for them. But even if it is a distraction, like none of us are not talking about AI overviews either. It looks like Google's turned down the instances where they run. So it might be that Google was doing this so that they can go and like fix things. And if AI overviews get better and if they have better sources, I'd be more on board with them. I still don't like them really, but like just like featured snippets, when featured snippets launched, people hated them apparently. I wasn't really in the SEO sphere at that point. People were like really, really against them. I assume people are always going to be somewhat upset about these, but if they could make it better and like really work with publishers, it wouldn't be the end of the world, in my opinion. So we'll see. But I do think with the API leak, first of all, it's a very boring read. I'll be honest. It's not like as exciting, I think, as some people think it would be. It's just like when I was reading the legal files for the antitrust case, if you're not used to reading this stuff, and like the legal stuff makes more sense to me because I worked in law for so long, but the code does not come as easily to me. So it took me a bit longer to like get into it and try to understand what certain words were and certain they have like a lot of abbreviations and things like that that weren't a lot of SEOs are even debating some of them. Like we don't fully know what they are. So I expect more will keep coming out from this. And at a certain point, I do think Google's either going to have to claim this or not claim it. And I think we're either going to learn a lot about the algorithm from people going through it more. And I've already seen some really cool new stuff come up about like how Google differentiates internal links versus external links and like how those are different in the classifier, and things like the number of tokens that maybe it can read through a page, which like we kind of already knew that Google focused really on like the beginning of the page as much as they can because it costs them a lot of money to have to like crawl a bunch of pages. So they want to basically reduce the cost of them having to crawl everything if they can. And I do expect to some extent with AI as well, like Google's expenses went up massively with having to crawl so many new articles. And it might be one of the reasons why they're trying to like tighten their belts and really keep people on Google instead, is so they don't have to crawl as many things because that looked like it got expensive. Although SGE/AI overviews, like they're also, from reports I've seen, very expensive for Google. So who knows? But yeah, I think ultimately what I can say is like a big takeaway from this, because I should probably go eventually and stop talking about this, but I could talk about this forever. And if any of y'all have podcasts you want me to come on and talk about it, message me. I'd be very happy to, or YouTube or whatever, like, or socials of any sort. I love talking about this stuff. So let me lean into my hyperfixations. But essentially my takeaway is that like, I don't think our business is completely done, but I think it's had a massive pivot. And I think this is a huge shift in our industry that we really have to work with. Unfortunately, we can't work against it. And as much as like I appreciate things like the Web Publishers Organization and Mediavine and Raptive for having like different things that you can fill out and kind of like join societies almost to try and kind of lobby against AI and Google, at a certain point, the best action you can take is taking actual action. And I would say taking ownership of your content and your audience. And a really strong way to do that is, again, to pivot more towards thinking like a business that does ultimately, unfortunately, need more of a cash investment in your business, like for things like investing in Thrivecart, like investing in new softwares to like build things or whatever. There's a lot there. And so I think we really have moved away from that passive income model that was so wonderful. And I think it was kind of too good to be true. And so we are seeing it end at this point. I think it can definitely supplement your income, but I don't think writing one article and having that article generate thousands of dollars for you every single month for 20 years, I think that's over. Especially with like content decay and things like that. Like at this point, you need to keep refreshing things. So we were already starting to see it shift towards something that's more active. But I think especially now we're really seeing it move towards a more active income form. And I would say that like, especially for me, a way that I feel safe with this is having a very strong community that's very tight knit and like would follow me if I left platform. So for example, I started my YouTube channel and it was hot garbage. It was so bad. I've removed a bunch of the videos because they were awful. And because they weren't made for YouTube. Like I took a bunch of old Instagram videos and then converted them, but they were too long to be a short. I took like quick Loom videos that I had done for my Facebook groups and put them up, and the volume was horrible. And like I rambled for forever, which like y'all know I ramble, obviously. This was supposed to be like a 15-minute video. And I think we're on what, like hour 4 or something. But with that, like I had amazing dedicated audiences that came over, and I had like 1,000 subscribers very, very quickly on something that was not my forte and I wasn't really following the rules of. Even now, like I'm kind of not following the rules of it. Like I don't think you're supposed to do a bunch of YouTube lives all the time on stuff. I think you're supposed to be more organized and stuff, and I'm just not. And because of that, like community really founded it. And that's something I'm very good at is building community. But because of that, I can also move the community if I need to. So if Facebook went under tomorrow, if Google completely shut down today, yes, it'd be a bit weird because I run an SEO business. And I will say I'm keeping the name She Knows SEO, but I am talking, and you'll have noticed this even like throughout last year, talking more about different traffic sources. And part of that is because I got a bit bored with SEO. Like I know we always talk about like resend emails and like even if you've talked about it once, talk about it again. I don't like talking about things again and again. I like to like move on to the next thing. Again, it's the ADHD. So I've already been trying to like make every video and every newsletter like completely unique. And that does mean that I moved away from SEO for a minute. And so I think like the name will stick, but I'm definitely going to be talking more about different elements of this. And I think that that's going to be an important shift for everybody, is that like we don't just focus on one super individual traffic source. We have more, but I don't think it's dead. I think it is working to some extent, just very differently than it used to. And if you've had a manual action or if you are being suppressed by Google, then like at that point, leave SEO essentially. I've been running some tests. I have friends running tests as well about migrating to new domains, and that seems to be working. None of us have more than 6 months of data though, so I don't know like the longevity of it. But to start, it does seem to be working. And even in the document that we have, it looks like it needs to like have Google remembers 20 versions of a post. You'd have to like redo it 20 times before it would see the updates as like completely removing any bad classifier, which is often where we see people say, oh, wait till the next update and they'll kind of like wipe that stuff. So we don't know when the next update is going to be. We're even seeing John Mueller now, like something came out recently where he was like, maybe just move on, maybe just give up. And it was like, whoa, that's awful. So yeah, I don't know if at that point, if SEO is not loving you and you've done your best and maybe it was and it kind of shot you down, I'd probably pivot significantly at this point. And whether it's a new domain, new content, if that site is really locked out, you're probably locked out, unfortunately, at least for a while. So I would probably leave it on the back burner and wait to see if a couple updates can undo it for you. That's something that was like big with the Panda update when that it was an older update. I'm not going to get into that here because I keep trying to end this. Yeah, essentially we saw that or I wasn't really in SEO at that time, but I can, from reading articles and stuff, it was really common that sites took a number of updates, like a year or two, to come back from that. So I would lean into other sources then, unfortunately, which sucks because I love the SEO source. But for anyone who's been significantly hit and like really like locked out of SERPs and like your new content isn't even being shown, it's pretty likely that there's something on the site itself that means that you're not going to rank on Google that way. Okay, so this has been a very, very, very long video now about the Google algorithm. If you have any questions, please let me know. You can post them in the comments on this video or in my free SEO for travel bloggers Facebook group. I'm also going to be going live on Friday with Natalie Bardo, and we're going to talk more about like the Google algorithm overall, and not just like this leak, but more about like how the updates have changed things and how you can still succeed with Google in a different way now. But please keep in mind a lot of the things I said today around like impressions might still be high, but like your click-through rate is going to be a lot lower because of all the things Google has added. And one of the ways that I would also note you can counter that, and one of the reasons I'm doing this video is making a video related to your articles. And then like this way, like I mentioned with this article, it ranks #1. This video can then rank even above it in the little YouTube area. So like it's a good idea to do YouTube videos. I'll just say that. And they do rank very, very well. I've had a lot that like rank very well on Google, and especially for affiliate videos, do work decently well for passive income. Then yeah, you can join us for that. So I have posted information about that in YouTube communities, on my stories on Instagram. I've emailed about it. It's in my Facebook group. It's all over the place, so you can find us there. But Natalie and I will be going through, and she's a Pinterest expert, so she can also answer some Pinterest questions at the same time. So thank you so much for joining me. Again, I have an article. So for those of you on Instagram, comment algo, ALGO, and it'll send you the link to the article. For those of you on YouTube, the link is in the description of this video with my full review of everything the algorithm told us so far. Now, people are obviously doing more, and as more comes, I'll probably do another article if like we see big shifts and like significant information changes. But to this point, the biggest thing I could say is that like Google doesn't care about you. So don't rely 100% on Google. And it's unfortunate because so many of us were able to for so long. But unfortunately, things have shifted. And if I could advise in any way, I will try and help y'all out. So please let me know. But I personally, again, I'm going to be sticking with some SEO, Facebook groups, then get those people on my newsletter. YouTube's kind of in there. I'm not doing it for all my sites. That's why I kind of didn't mention it just there. But like for She Knows SEO, it's kind of taking precedence to some extent because I'm trying to figure it out more and get better at this. So like, yeah, I'm working on it. And then, yeah, to get them on your newsletter. So if y'all have any like specific questions around, I have some videos that I'm planning around like running Facebook ads to get traffic and newsletter subscribers, bundles and summits to get email subscribers, some stuff around creating digital products, let me know. I, of course, always want to create the most helpful content for you guys. So feel free to comment here if you prefer to post in my Facebook group, whatever. Please request videos. I'm always happy to do what would help you guys out. And that's like the most important thing to me. And I just want to say, if you were hit really hard and if you're struggling right now, like, I see you and I feel you because it sucks. It is so hard to see your business shift and to see things kind of go downhill, unfortunately. I have a number of friends who were like just about to quit their job or who had just quit their job and have had to shift things. And it makes me incredibly sad. And it's one of the reasons I'm even more upset with Google is that like they have not cared about what they've done to human beings. And that's not great. So we are a great community here. And yeah, you are loved and supported. And just remember as well that like a business failing or Google just like ripping the rug out from under you is not a reflection on you as a person and your worth or your value or how amazing your life is and how wonderful you are. And yeah, I'm sending hugs to everybody. Theo's downstairs right now because I think my dad came home and so he like booked it a second ago. I don't know if you all heard him like nearly fall down the stairs, but was trying really hard to focus. But he sends love as well. And you can always go to my Instagram for some silly little Theo videos and pictures, including a video of how he panicked when I got home. Okay, so I have to now figure out how to end this StreamYard, but yeah, please comment on anything I can do to help y'all out a bit more and offer more information and advice. And yeah, and if anyone ever finds any sort of privacy policy related to the to Gemini going into people's emails, please send it to me because I really want to read it. And I've been looking everywhere and I can't find one, but I think it might be because it's not fully released yet. So yeah, if anyone ever finds like legal documents, stuff like that, I love going through it. So feel free to email it to me, nina@sheknowsseo.co. It's a guilty pleasure of mine. I probably should have ended up at law school, but I didn't. Okay, so I'm going to, oh, it has an end stream button. Oh, how nice. Yeah, StreamYard, easier than I thought. Thank you everybody for joining. Thank you for giving up your evening on a Wednesday. And yeah, join us live on Thursday. It's at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific on YouTube. And it's on Natalie's channel, which again, link is in my YouTube communities and all over the place. Okay, I'm gonna go now because I'm rambling and I never know how to end these. Bye everybody. Okay, and bye YouTube.